Hey everybody, Adam Savage, and I am in the UK at our friends at FBFX. And longtime watchers of the channel will recognize many of the helmets because FBFX makes all my favorite helmets in movies. And I have covered so many aspects, but today we're talking to Simon. How are you, sir?
Oh, very good, Adam, thank you.
And we're talking about a new aspect of the helmets, which is their electronics. I like putting blinky bits on my costumes, but when you're actually making blinky bits for the movies, this is Simon's job, and it is non-trivial. There's a lot going on with getting these things to light up and function on set.
It's not an easy job. They always want it bigger, smaller, brighter, you know, so that's where all the difficulty comes, and then it's all compressed into
very tiny spaces. Yeah, well, this is your guys' very first foray into it. This is from the legendary film Event Horizon, and talk to me about the process of dealing with this.
Right, well this one, as I say, I mean, this is what, 25, 26 years old now, or something, even more.
And so the producers came to you guys to solve this electronics problem.
I was given the problem, and obviously on the back here we've got four
little readouts.
Yeah, it's the buddy system, so that people behind on the wherever they go can see the health status of the person in front. Right. So we've got 4 bar graphs, and they've got something like 30 segments per bar.
Right.
So, you know, going back 25 years, and you've got to squeeze all that in, and it was all, you know, microcontroller controlled.
And these are, did you guys, am I right, you guys did custom printing of the circuit boards in here?
Yes, yeah, and we were given just about 48 hours.
What?
From the first request to, I think it was 2 to 3 days before they were actually filming.
Wow.
So we had to quickly put this together, and I don't know what you can't really see in there, but each board is dual processor, so there's 8 processors just to control 4 bar graphs.
And that's just one tiny bit of the lighting in this helmet, because there's LEDs all over.
There's bits and pieces all over this one, yes.
And I also, off camera, you were saying these bulbs drew something like 8 amps?
It's just over 8 amps, yeah.
That's like, with 5 actors, that's like an entire apartment's worth of electricity.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're 50-watt bulbs. And at the time, white LEDs were, you know, in their infancy.
Right,
you know,
right.
You could get one,
yeah,
but you'd turn it on, you'd have to look in it to see if it's on. It wouldn't actually project
Not
light.
Very bright.
So we obviously were stuck with the issue of needing these lights, and they wanted a good light output.
And these are like car headlamps in here.
Yeah, yeah. They're actually, they're halogen bulbs, and, you know, which is great on a prop set where you can have mains and big power supplies, but when you've got it in a suit, to try and get 8 to 10 amps, we're not, you know, we're talking, you don't want a car battery on your back.
And the actors have to be non-tethered to their set to do their jobs. Yeah. Well, and you know, people don't realize, I think, how little space there is for these electronics. You guys had to fit all this underneath a panel, and then an actor's head still has to go in there.
Yes, and the problem was, again, with early electronics, the amount of heat that this stuff emits. When it's all sealed in a glass helmet on a hot set with the lights, they ducted air through. So the big problem was one, cooling the actor, and secondly, cooling the electronics at the same time. So the ducts and everything were all designed so that the air will come into the helmet and take the heat away from, you know, not only the actor but the electronics as well. So see the bar graphs at the back.
Oh man, look at that! That's so beautiful.
That's what I was talking about with the big bar graphs.
Wow.
So that was all programmed. That's all software controlled.
Right.
And then even they go into, when they're in a problem on the planet, wherever they are, and they go into a panic mode. One of the briefs was it had to have 2 modes. So if you watch there, when they flick the switch and say I'm in trouble, it goes to a higher level. But it doesn't just jump. It all has to be programmed in. So you see, if I flick it now, I've flicked the switch, and it should.
Oh, wow! It took a second.
Start riding up, and then you see the person behind them will see that
oh, there you go.
They're in trouble. So
and this isn't something you bought like a kit. You guys have to wire every single one of these LEDs and get it to fit into this.
That is totally designed and programmed from scratch, and as I say, we did that in sort of roughly 48 hours.
I'm really sorry.
And then when you take it back, it doesn't just drop back. It finds its own. It thinks,
slowly comes
I'm
back
okay
to
now, and then they recover. So, I mean, that was all programmed
Yeah.
then, so...
It is amazing that you can get it up and running right away.
Yeah, yeah.
There must be a part of you that looks back at this helmet. I mean, it's amazing work, but also like, thank God we don't do it like this anymore.
We try to obviously keep it tidy, keep it small, and reliability is the issue. So it's always a challenge.
Yeah. I think the other thing that people don't realize, and I'd love to bring the Martian helmet over to talk about this, is that on set, the director and the director of photography might want different values for all the lights.
Yes.
And so you've got to be able to tune them almost shot by shot or scene by scene on set.
Again, this is where the progress of electronics goes, because on this one particularly, I mean, we can look at that. I mean, this is, the early handheld.
Wow, look at that.
And
is this for this guy?
No, that's
Oh,
for
this
this
is
one.
Martian.
Yeah. So what they had to do was set the values they wanted, and I don't know whether you want to turn that to camera.
Could we turn? Yeah.
You can see it working.
Do I plug it in?
Yeah, plug it in. Good old heavy battery there.
Oh, I hear the fans going.
So the problems they had then was they might go from nice light room like this, and then they go into another dark part of a set.
Oh, wow. So even in one shot, you might need to dim.
Oh yeah, very much
wow.
so. And this is where it's progressed. So the later stuff, which we might move on to, we can store all those values now. So you have presets, so they can set it all for one environment, say in daylight outside, and then as soon as they go inside, it's just a press of a button to set the new scene that you've saved, which is all stored in the new controllers. So they can just swap between them easily.
But back during The Martian, you're sitting there, you have to push this button and program each one.
Yeah, this one's your transmit, and then you've actually got to twist each part, to get.
And you've got, let me see what you've got there. You've got front, sides, top, purple LEDs, outer top, outer bottom.
So in the back, you'll see these were lovely for the era. They're like ultraviolet LEDs.
These little guys here
at the back. So they are those ones.
Oh, right.
And the brightness of everything is all controlled. You find the directors of photography want every single item controllable.
Of course. That makes total sense.
So,
it's amazing how primitive this is. I feel like this movie came out really recently.
yeah.
What is the transmission system? Is there a wireless protocol that you're specifically using?
There was and there is. So what we've got now is the industry standard, which is the Lumen CRMX system.
Okay.
Which all our new stuff, which every studio in the world
now uses. Okay.
But in those days, that didn't exist. So this was the FBFX kind of early Lumen CRMX boards.
And
so
you guys custom made these?
These are all built, custom made, designed and built just purely for what
we do.
Look at
that. That's awesome.
That's the transmitter.
Yeah.
And in there, when we go back to...
Oh, so this is this, yeah?
Yeah, so this handheld unit
and
those handheld units, all the same. It was, like I say, it was our early CRMX system. So this was our own frequency and coding and everything that transmitted. And again, that was good for about a good 100 metres indoors.
Wow.
Like I say, that's the master board in there, and that's the brain. And that's going back, I don't know, 20 years or
20
whatever
years.
for that stuff.
Wow.
And that was all addressable.
Right,
and,
so that you can adjust each individual piece.
Yeah.
And when you have trouble with this, they don't care. They don't want to hear your problems. They just want them solved.
Yeah, yeah. And there's no room for error when you've got a studio costing a lot of money and actors and everybody else. You can't say, oh, brilliant, we'll have that fixed by next Tuesday. They'll say, we'll have a 20-minute break. Yeah. And then you've got to get it working.
So let's talk about these guys, because I also know that these guys were in water too.
Yeah.
Does that present some interesting issues? Or not too much?
Again, we do our best to account for...
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't my department. I do the electronics, but the other guys here, they make sure, to the best of their ability, that it will do what it's designed to do.
Yeah. Can we light this one up?
That one, yes.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. And this one had a couple of interesting modes. So this was the progression from that handset to this handset.
Right. This is the new one.
It's the same electronics, different case, but it's got other functions. So again, we power it on. You can preset the values, and then you've got a go live button that will power it up.
Oh, that's great. And I mean, now with LEDs, you can get nice bright spots, and they don't create tons of heat.
Yes, yeah. Compared with our 8 to 10 amp version, I mean, you can turn those on, those big ones.
Can you?
They're
whoa!
and you can feel the heat.
No, I'm feeling the heat right here.
Yeah.
This is like you could warm your food from these. Here, hold on. Let me turn this around for you. What?
And as you can see, we've got 8.3 amps just for those 2 lamps.
Oh my God! Did this start to melt the vacuum form here a little bit?
Do you know what? It was
actually pretty cool.
Yeah, the lamps have been set in a way that the heat shouldn't, apart from what's radiated, transfer. So there's no conductivity heat, but being left on for a long while, then it's
that's gorgeous. And still, the same rule applies. Like you're often having to adjust the lighting not only shot by shot, but sometimes within the same scene.
Yes,
and quickly and easily. Yeah.
So again, you can preset all these, and then you've got your go live button. So whatever you've set it at, and then you've got the blackout. You know,
turn it all off,
which we use for 2 reasons. One, when they obviously want blackout, but the best way is obviously, again, we're on battery, and they've just got a small battery, and of course the amount of time you can keep it off, the better.
Right.
And then wherever you are, you've got a restore button to whatever level you were, and then we got the famous flicker button.
The flicker.
This one, when they were in trouble, they had some sort of radioactive attack.
Yeah.
Oh,
wow. That's awesome.
That was the famous flicker button. Yeah. So
this seems like a real plug-and-play system now. What problems does it present these days? Do you still have radio interference problems occasionally?
Do you know what? I'll be honest. The CRMX system, we this one occasionally you pick up, but I've got some cheap import lights in my workshop, which turned out that even when they're on, I can't even tune my car radio. They fuzz over everything.
Wow.
So whenever I design something, I make sure my LED lights are on in the ceiling.
It's your worst case scenario of interference.
You could just put an oscilloscope on a blank piece of wire on the bench in my workshop, and you can see all the interference.
Wow.
So I'd make sure that everything I do is tested when my lights are on.
Yeah.
So, but if it can pass that, it will pass anything.
Amazing.
So these systems, obviously, they get better and better. With the CRMX system, I've not had an issue to date. So
I obtained one of these suits last year, and one of the things I really liked about it is how easily you guys made the battery swap outs.
Oh, right. Yes.
Right? Like it's just like it's clear. It's based on a long institutional knowledge of you don't want to be unscrewing actors' costumes on set.
I mean, there was a big learning curve because I used to be workshop based completely.
Right.
But after going on set a few times and having to change things and then realising the difficulty, you suddenly design in the workshop to make it a lot easier on set.
Yeah.
So it's it works out quite well.
Now, I'd love to talk about the Halo helmet here. Did this present any interesting new problems, or is it basically just part of the same system? And
it's all part of the same system. But again, we got the lights. Which ones are that? There's all different versions of obviously the different actors in this have got different lights. So just looking at that one's connected. Oh yeah, we got side lights.
Oh,
on
look
that
at
one.
that. You've got a digital monitor interface for that.
Yeah, so this is where we've progressed to. Again, this is an early one. The new ones are still in design to make it a nice pocket handheld unit.
I love these two next to each other. This is good. This is an amazing progression.
Yeah. So this is taken over from that. Amazing. And then what I was saying about presetting these and having to do that on this unit, we got loads of really nice functions. which we can load presets, and everything we've done, as you see, we can save, and you can have more and more of those. So they can have inside, outside, different scenes, and then everything you do on this, it gives you an option to save.
State.
So if the director of photography says, "Brilliant, I like that," you can go in there and go save, and you can recall that at any time. So, and again, this, they're fairly low power LEDs.
Yeah.
But even if you look at the amount of light that these give out compared with Mr. 10 amps.
Yeah, it'll give you real lens flares and all that.
So,
and actually, it also seems like it takes up a lot less room nowadays than it used to.
Oh yeah, so much smaller. I mean, even now, this one didn't need the high power LEDs, but we got some, 20 watt, 40 watt LEDs that would fit in here that would light the whole room up.
Well, and there's also the issue, we haven't talked about this before, but you guys also build air conditioning into all these helmets. You have fans going, and those I'm sure have to go at different speeds depending on the shot needs and the temperature on set.
So we've got several scenarios for the fans. The biggest one is the sound man.
Yeah.
Because the actor's overheating, he wants it on full, so he's feeling cool. And then, of course,
the sound guy can hear that.
You will get sound off of fans. So what we did on one of these, we programmed it for the preset for the sound. So it takes the fans down, so they just run to keep air moving for the comfort of the actor, but you can't hear them. Right. So it's okay. But when they finish the sound bit and the guy, just whatever he's doing, you can put it back on.
So the actor gets
so he's sort of and the fans will come up to full speed. But they're, again, everything in these is all digitally controlled, even the fans. It's not like the old day, you just turn the voltage up.
Yeah.
They're pulse width modulated, the same as the LEDs.
Yeah. So
we got full digital control of the fans, and all the units again. We're down to what was. I mean, this was actually quite a good small board, but a lot of the receivers were quite big. We're probably looking at something the size of this,
right?
Which we've reduced now down to that. And this unit, again, it can be, because it's all microcontroller based, it can be programmed to do whatever you want.
And so at each one of these also, I'm assuming that like on Event Horizon, you had one of these for each helmet?
Yes.
And now you can, how many different units can you control? You control more than one unit on this?
Thousands. It's unlimited.
So you just need one guy on set and he can adjust all the lighting for all the costumes that you've got out there.
Yep, completely. And, and what's lovely on this is...
So there you go, right, I see.
So the dip switch on these units, if you're not into your binary and everything else, you can just put your code in. So if you wanted 151, if you see the switches at the bottom, they change. So it will give you the dip. Wow. So whatever you see there, you set on there.
And then they'll talk to
or vice versa, because you may pick this helmet up and think, I want to test it.
Yeah.
And then you'll see the dip switches are in that order, so you can change the switches.
So you don't need to even plug this into a computer to do any reprogramming. It's all physical between the unit and the receiver.
Yes, yeah.
That's fabulous.
So once you've done that, you just say enter, and you'll see that now starts at 415, which is what I set, and then you've got full control, touch-sensitive screen. You've got master levels, and then you've got other nice functions that will allow you to preset again all the scenes or any scenario. So
you know what I love is that like the advent of CG in movies was really aided and abetted by how processing cycles got cheaper, right?
Yes.
Moore's law. They got smaller, they got cheaper, they got faster. And then we went all the way away from a lot of practical stuff. But those same inexpensive processing cycles are now making practical effects much cheaper than they used to.
Oh, yeah. And there's so much more we can do. But what I don't understand is how these designers and directors of photography seem to know they're one step ahead.
About their requests?
For their requests. So when you think, oh, this is going to be nice and easy, they'll now say they want something, this big, and it's got to do that much more. And I'm going,
it's an arms race.
Yes, yeah, very much so. So
it's an amazing history lesson, Simon.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. So it's progressed.
It's really incredible.
So I must admit, even I look back over the stuff from the archives and, you know, I mean, looking at this, I mean, even 25 plus years ago, I mean, I'm still impressed. I don't think